Article 17, amend Londonderry Municipal Code, Title 5, Administrative Code, Chapter 3, Section 1.a. Shall the town vote to amend the Londonderry Municipal Code, Title 5, Administrative Code, Chapter 3, Section 1A, to include the planning board as elected positions? This would move the planning board from being appointed by the Londonderry Town Council to being elected by the citizens of Londonderry. This is submitted by Citizens Petition. If passed, this article will require the town to raise $0 in property taxes, resulting in a tax rate impact of $0 in fiscal year 25 based upon projected assessed values. Since this is a non-monetary item, the Town Council nor the Budget Committee made recommendations. I'll accept the motion to open this article for discussion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. This article is now, do we have a presentation first?
Mr. Moderator, this is a citizen's petition. I do not have a presentation.
Thank you. This article is now open for discussion.
Deb Paul, 118 Hardy Road. This was my citizen's petition. After doing some research in other towns, I thought that since the planning board is probably the second most powerful board in our town, that it would be good. We would still have appointed people from the council and who else, liaisons to it. But I thought that this board should be elected. If people are not happy with the job that the person that the town council has appointed, this gives the residents of the community to change that. And right now, we don't have that that power to do that. And so it puts the power back into the power of the people, and to say, yes, you're doing a good job on the planning board and we'll keep electing you, or you're not doing a good job and we're not going to re-elect you. So that was the mindset behind this. That's about it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
So, Mr. Moderator, upon receipt of this citizen's petition, we asked the town attorneys to take a look at it. We operated as an SB2 community and under a town charter, and we asked them to take a look at this petition to see if it was viable or binding or advisory in nature.
And I can speak to that, Mr. Moderator.
Please, if you would.
Yes. Megan Carrier, I'm the town attorney. This article, if it passes in its current form, will create an inconsistency between the administrative code and the town charter, because the town charter provides that members of the planning board are appointed rather than elected. Because both the administrative code and the charter provide that the administrative code is drafted to be consistent with the charter will control in the event of an inconsistency between the two. So unless and until a separate amendment is also made to the charter, this article will not have any legal effect and will be merely advisory.
Question. Are
Mr.
we
Butler?
offer the residents on these petitions legal advice when they're putting it together? Or is there any offer did they come forward?
I don't believe that the town was in receipt of these ahead of time or asked for our legal counsel to look at them. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. We do offer and encourage that initial legal review so that folks don't get to the deliberative session and learn that they may not have the effect that was intended. And in this case, no legal review was sought by any petitioner.
Further discussion?
Tony DeFrancesco, 1 Cheshire Court. Aside from whether it can be administered or not, philosophically I have a problem with this. I am a member of the planning board. I've had numerous times in the 45 years that I've been in town to run for office. I've chosen not to do that because I don't want to be a politician. I want to be a volunteer. It seems to me, over the past 4 or 5 years, I've noticed that on the town and on the school side, let's just talk about the town because that's where we are, we have an incredibly hard time filling positions. If we start making these positions, if you have to go to the ballot, if you have to be a politician, I'm wondering if that's going to make the problem worse, or is it better? In my life, I've always had a hard time with change, but anytime there was change, one of the things that I learned was change for the sake of change is not healthy. Change is usually when you look at something and you find a potential problem, and you say, you know what, we need to make a change because of a particular problem. I don't see this as fixing any problems, and actually I see it as possibly creating a larger problem of not being able to fill positions. So I would hope that people would vote this down, and I will be saying the same for others of similar verbiage as we move down the line. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Sir, please come forward.
Hello, Garrett 80, Hyde Park Circle. If I understand the discussion correctly, it sounds like if this goes to the ballot in March and is passed by the voters, it will have no force and effect. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So it feels to me, anyway, that this potentially creates confusion, that people might be voting for something that they think is going to change something, when in fact it's not going to change. So I guess my question is there an opportunity here this morning for us to kill this? And if so, do I need to make an amendment to kill it? There's no budgetary impact, so I can't zero anything out. I feel it's confusing to the voters as presented. So again, my question is there any way today, this morning, to have this not go to the ballot?
So, sir, I mean, you heard me earlier talk about disenfranchising voters. So 43 people came forward and they signed this citizens petition. State law tells us that we need to bring the citizens petitions under penalty to the ballot. It is, it has always been the belief of the council that if people want to vote on something, even though it's only advisory, they should have the opportunity to vote on that because they did bring it forward. I do understand your question that it could be confusing, but we should still give people the opportunity to vote on it, and we may learn something. What we may learn out of all of this is that people want to change the entire charter of the town. Maybe they want to become a city, but we'll learn that through this process. If we change what the people are brought forward, we've disenfranchised those 43 people, and maybe we won't learn anything. So it's a double-edged sword. You certainly can, the attorney will advise you on whether you can amend it or not, but it's something that can take into consideration.
Well, I think if passed, I don't think many people in town appreciate these distinctions about SB2, and I think if passed, there would need to be education for what this really means, that as passed does not have any force and effect. And if you really want to go forward with this, we need to do something more fundamental with the town charter, is what I'm understanding.
The town charter is a complicated process. I mean, it's been in place since 1996. It's had multiple amendments. A number of these things that are being brought forward really, spur things towards a charter commission. There is provisions within the charter of how to have a charter commission. And that's really, that's an entire other process that takes 2 to 3 years to turn your charter.
Okay, and again,
much more complicated than we want to get into.
Yeah, I'm certainly not proposing we do that, but it feels like this is just, as I said, I think it's confusing, and I certainly won't speak for any of the 43 people that signed the petition, but it really feels to me that perhaps they didn't appreciate that if this is passed by the voters, that it really has no force and effect. And I'm not sure what really of substance is being accomplished through all of this.
So I'm going to yield to the town's council, and, she's going to answer your question.
So the amendment, the article can be amended as long as you're not changing the subject matter. So, one option would be to amend it to clarify that it is expressing an advisory opinion only.
Yeah, I guess I propose an amendment to that effect. If I need to write that down, I will, but I just think it's confusing, and anything that we could do to alleviate that confusion, I think would be helpful.
So help me with the language, or let's help the gentleman with the language for the amendment. Is it as simple as, if passed, this article will be advisory only, or something along those lines?
Something along those lines, yes. It could also be phrased as something along the lines of, to express an advisory opinion that the planning board members be elected rather than appointed.
Can I say something?
Please.
Mr. Moderator? A while back, I had done a citizens petition, exactly 4 years ago, in regards to looking at term limits. I had the town look at it. They told me it could only be advisory. We had 1,400 people that voted for it. The town council would not even discuss it. So it really irked me, to no avail, that it wasn't even discussed. I understood that it's something they couldn't really do unless we did a change, and this was not for council or budget. This was for appointments, putting limitations on appointments to boards. So in other words, someone couldn't be appointed for 28, 30 years on the same board. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen again if we use the word advisory. It will fall upon deaf ears, and this was to stimulate a conversation. I've had many people in the town come to me and tell me they're not happy with a lot of things that have gone on in the planning board, in the direction that they're going. And this was a solution after looking at many towns in the state. This is how they do it. They said that it made a huge difference in how their planning board functioned. You had some people that were appointed and as liaisons, which were the steady historical type of people, and then you had new people come in on a regular basis. And that is kind of the background as to why I did this. I was trying to accommodate the residents of this town who have come to me and complained about light pollution, air pollution, traffic problems, high-density housing, not happy with the way the town is going, too many warehouses. And I thought this was a way to put fresh blood out there to be able to come forward and do this. That's why I was against the advisories thing. I hope you understand.
Ms. Carrier, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is we cannot simply remove the warrant article. As we stated at the start, all warrant articles go to the ballot, either as written or as amended. We also know from what we just heard that as written, this warrant article will have no force and effect because of the way it's written. So that leaves us with put it forward as it currently is, or try to come up with an amendment to make it clear what the impact will be. Am I?
That's correct. Either way, regardless of whether or not the words, it's clarified that it will be advisory only.
Mr. Moderator, I think it's important to underscore that there very clearly is a way to switch from an appointed budget committee, planning board, to an elected planning board. That exists under the law. It just hasn't been followed here.
So that's where we are.
Could you clarify what that way is? I'm sorry.
It would be to amend or revise the town charter.
Thank you.
So I have a proposed amendment submitted by Mr. 80. Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. We have a motion and a second. The amendment reads, we will add this language. This article is advisory only and will not result in the planning board being elected. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll vote on whether or not to include this language in the article. All those in favor of adding this language, raise your hand, or raise your card. Okay, by a majority, this amendment did pass. This language will be added to the article. Any further discussion on the article as amended?
Was Tony here before? Mr. Moderator, Jeff Hector, 30 Holstein Ave. I'm a current member of the appointed planning board. I've been a member since 2020. I just wanted to kind of, I appreciate and I respect the citizens amendment coming forward. I think it's good for a healthy debate within our, with our town to have these come forward. As a member of the planning board, though, I do put close to about 40 hours a month into that volunteer position. That includes monthly webinars, reading multiple plans. Londonderry is a growing community. There's multiple plans. A lot of work goes into those plans. Understanding all the I's and crossing all the T's is part of that responsibility. It's something I take great pride in. Is the planning board perfect? No, but if there's any board in this room right now that's perfect, you're wrong. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely, and I really just hope that as a town we can build upon what the establishment that we have now. So thank you for the time, and I appreciate all of your efforts.
You're welcome. Thanks for your service. Seeing no further discussion, this article will move to the ballot as amended.